even in the previous version of the patch. And like me and B-Wiz now actually think that Sonya versus Raiden is 6-4 in Sonya's favor. I used to really struggle with the Sub-Zero matchup because I didn't know how to deal with the Ice Clone as well as I did now, but the way I play that matchup now is just playing a life lead. I think the one matchup really right now that I really struggle with is Cabal, and I'm thinking about learning a new character to counterpick that. But
How is Cabal like? I mean, how is Cabal? How's Katana really different than Cabal? Isn't it kind of the same?
to me, the big instant air gas ball recovers so much quickly, or so
Doesn't
much
it do
quicker.
like 18% damage per second?
There was this guy on TYM did a DPS chart, and that does like I think 18.5 damage per second, whereas Katana's I think was like 10 something.
But
Like
that's like if it's done perfectly, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
And I don't know, because the instant air gas ball recovers so much quicker. Like when Katana does instant air fans, she's there for a little while, so you can actually sort of counter zone in a sense. Like I can start throwing some rings and dashing a little bit. Against Cabal, I feel the only thing I can do is dash crouch block, and then because he's conditioned me to get into this pattern of dash crouch block, it's easier for him to get the jump on me or throw me into a block string or a mix up. Whereas Katana, I feel you can play much more honest.
Okay.
Foxy Grandpa disagrees.
He hasn't played Rio.
That's true. Like to see that.
What do you think about Foxy's Sonya? Have you watched his videos?
I've seen some of them. I think he's pretty good, honestly. I think all those European players are really underrated. Mustard and Ketchup. Actually, prior to Evo, I had a Trophy Club in my pool, and Mustard helped me grind the Cyrax matchup out. So I really like those guys. I'm hoping that they make it to Evo next year. So I'd like to hang out with them.
Awesome.
I think Foxy, he's had one of the best cages, and I think he's learning Sonya. I haven't seen him recently. Like last time I watched him, I thought there were some things he could work on, but I'm sure just as he plays her more, he will. I think he's one of the best already, and I think he's a great player.
All right. I got a question for you guys. What advice would you give someone that wants to transfer from casual play to tournament play? Like, general gameplay tips. And that's for all you guys.
For this guy?
Research is the biggest thing. I would say punishment is the biggest thing. Like, casual players, they just play. But knowing how to punish, it really separates the men from the boys. Like, knowing how to blow someone up for doing everything that they're trying to do is the biggest difference. Like, understanding risk versus reward. Like, this person's abusing this move. What can I do to blow the, like say it's Katana doing down one. Like, you have to know how to beat every single option that person has. Like, I think punishment and just understanding, an overall understanding of the engine is what separates the men from, like, just research, really.
Yeah, I think
what separates it.
From what I can tell, most people, they're so focused on, like, hey, I have this combo, and this combo does this much damage, but I don't really see a lot of emphasis on people doing, full build meter like this, or they set you up in that way. I think, like CD Junior and all those guys, really what I think helps them dominate so much is they put such a heavy emphasis on frame trapping, block strings, counter poking. Like, one thing I always tell, when someone asks me what they just want to pick up Mortal Kombat, who's the first character they should play and why, I always tell them to just pick up Liu Kang, because he's got the very simple mix-ups, but he also conditions you to get really used to movement. You have to dash constantly between all of his block strings and hit strings and just combos. So I think once you get used to movement in general, that helps set you up for success, I think.
I agree with that.
I would say when you're doing your research, trust but verify. Listen, hear people out, but make sure you test it for yourself. Do not, just because they're a big name, do not assume we're always right. Hear out the argument, hear out the tech, hear out the frame date and all that, and then find out for yourself. Because there is an unbelievable amount of misinformation in the community. And there's a ton of good information, too.
Yeah, that's what I always find hilarious is, like, post something, and then everybody in the community immediately jumps, oh yeah, we already knew that shit. And it's like...
there's also, but there's also a big problem of stuff that is just a known fact, is how many people think that one smoke string is advantage on block? Everybody thinks that, and it is not. But that is known knowledge. Don't believe what you read on Test Your Mind.
I think going casual to tournament is going to test your mind.
Right. You have to go there, and you have to...
Like, if you're serious about going to tournaments, then you go to the forums and you read shit, and you look up videos.
Research, but then you have to verify it for yourself. Don't look at someone and say, oh, if someone does this, you can do this, and you can blow them up. Say, all right, now I'm going to go find out how good that actually is. Every single thing you read, you have to test for yourself.
Now, 60-minute, you've been telling me about spacing. So explain to me what you mean about spacing.
Basic idea is you're putting yourself in the position that you want to be in, or you're keeping them in the position that you want them to be in. Like, let's take Katana, right? From the max range of my down one, I'm in a comfortable position where you have to try to get around the down. The down one is basically acting as a shield. I'm not really using it to do damage or anything other than it's a giant-ass shield that occupies all that space in front of me. And I'm using that, and you have to... are you going to try to jump in? Do you want to try to counterpunch? Whatever all your options are. And then I have ways to beat your options. Like, let's say I do a max range down one, and you're going to try to down one after it. I could blow that up. If you're going to try to jump in, I could blow that up. But the point of spacing is that I'm keeping you enclosed or keeping you out of that space that I want to control.
Now, versus Katana, you want to be like mid-screen, right?
I either want to be full screen, if I can, throwing my fans. But if I can't, I want to be right outside the range where down one will hit and where forward 2-1 will hit, unless you're like backing away. And that's backing away against Katana is one of the worst things you can do to me.
But versus Katana, you want to be right in the middle, right?
You do not. You're trying to get in. I want to keep you right out that max down one range. Your goal is to try to get in.
What about the startup on the fan? Like on the...
From that distance, I can't spam the fan.
Right.
Spacing is pretty much you being just outside of the range of that person's move you want to counter.
Right. You're in the range where you can do your shit, but they're in a range where they can't do their shit. And if
you're at the range where they will whiff and you can counter.
That's exactly right. You're in your comfortable range and you're keeping them out of their comfortable range.
But how do you control that? How do you dictate, the spacing?
Well, in my example, I have a move that's 6 frames and it's like a fucking 6-frame down 4.
It's not about your move, it's about your movement. Like, say you're fighting against Kenshi, or like, what's a better example? Ermac, alright? And he's doing that fucking push, and it's really fucking annoying. Like, you want to try and be either full screen, and then, like, I have a player here, whenever I play with Ermac, he'll act like he's gonna come after me, and he'll get within that telekinetic push range. And then, like, right as I'm about to do it, he'll back up, and it'll cause me to whiff, and then he gets in, and it's just like shit. Or he'll back up and he'll shoot a projectile, and then he'll fuck me up. Like that's the Cyrax player. I'll swear to God he'll be in range. I'll be like, oh, I'm doing telekinetic push, and he'll back up and throw out a net. And it's just like, fuck, that's cheap. This thing is huge, and it's like every character is different. Like, you have to know what that player likes to do with that